Hey guys, Juan and Angelica here, back for another episode. This is a Juan of Words podcast, and for us, it feels like it's been a little bit of a minute since we've recorded, and I think maybe, but on the publishing schedule, I was looking, and I don't think we're that far off from.
No, usually we record a lot of them in advance, yeah.
And I think that's probably why it feels like we haven't done this in a while. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I know we've been touching on different subjects, like we've been talking on a lot of, I guess I would say, like in-depth topics.
Yeah.
And for this episode, I was thinking of like something kind of similar to what we've been talking about. I think one of the last episodes we talked about was like jealousy and romance and things like that.
We did.
But before we go there, because we're in Hispanic Heritage Month, mm-hmm. I do want you to talk a little bit about the project that you're working on, because I think it's pretty cool.
Okay.
And I want you to tell people about it. And so what is it? What are you doing? Where can they find it? And things like that.
Yeah, so aside from this platform here on the Juan Words platform and being a co-host here, I have my own platforms. And they're across all social. They're called Crafty Thrifter. But on IG especially, on IGTV, I wanted to start this new series called Latina Leadership. Mm-hmm. And there I'm going to focus on, obviously, Latinas. And I don't know how to explain it, because it doesn't have like a format yet. It has a format. I'm talking to Latina leaders. I want to talk to them about the struggles, how they got there, maybe part of their wins, and where they've seen that maybe adjustments can be made for other Latina leaders to come up and rise after them. Yeah. And there's a lot of nuances that are happening. And I have some biasness already. Mm-hmm. I kind of already know where that I know what they're going to say, but I want to say that I think I know what my topics might be touched on, but I want to leave it as is, because I want to have a conversation with them. I'm going to do my research myself, mm-hmm. and I'm going to do a lot of reading within this month, and then hopefully I can wrap it up. Yeah.
Earlier, you just printed like a book.
I did. I printed somebody's dissertation of 200 pages.
Yeah, I was like,
it was a study. Yeah,
you were refilling the printer like three or three times.
Yeah,
it kept running out of paper. Mm-hmm. But I would imagine as a Latina yourself, like you're already coming to the conversation with like some
biasness.
Yeah, I don't know what it's bias. I would say like just like some like experience that you have on your own, and mm-hmm. like it's gonna be like, I'm interested to see, like, 'cause I think some of the lineup that you talked about, like mm-hmm. the people that you're gonna be speaking to,
hopefully, yeah,
are like kind of like all over the place, like not in a bad way, but like it's like it's not like the typical like Latina leaders that it's like, oh, all executives or all corporate people or all like people who are
mm-hmm.
CEOs.
Activists or all. Yeah,
it's more like across like the spectrum.
Yeah, some of them have small businesses. Some of them have small businesses like on IG. Some of them have been in corporate. Some of them have been in like huge label names of corporate, mm-hmm. and some of them are have been news anchors for years. I mean, it's just it's not all over the page. We all, sometimes when we talk to Latina leaders, sometimes we get them in a certain place, mm-hmm. right? You talk to all of them in this industry, or you talk to all of them in education, or you talk to all of them, as advocates, or as like, what would you say, like civic leaders, things like that. I want to do not just role models, but like civic leaders. You know what I mean? And a lot of the conversations do surround a lot of them. Mm-hmm. In certain industries, and I don't want to touch just one, because I feel like we all have, as everybody does, a lot of people have the same struggles. And I was saying earlier that even though we're like, you and I are the same, but we're not. The difference is obviously that he's a man and I'm a female, but within our culture, it's so obvious the way you were raised and the way I was raised as a female. There's something very specific. There's a lot of differences. And so I want to talk about them, and nobody can talk about it better than Latinas themselves.
Yeah. Well, no, like I said, I think it's going to be interesting. So it's going to be Hispanic Heritage Month. So it's going to be what, mm-hmm. September, for like starting in September through what, October 15th is when you're planning on running these. And
well, if I don't know, I'm not giving myself a timeline. I definitely am I do want to wrap it up in October.
Okay.
But whether that's October 15th or not,
And that's gonna be, but that's gonna be like throughout the month. So like people can go like to the, like you said, the Crafty Thrifter account, the Instagram account, because it's gonna be mostly IGTV conversations,
Correct.
right? So it's gonna be all on IGTV. So you'll actually, like where this is on longer format, these are gonna be a little bit shorter conversations, right? For the most part.
Yes, because IG only limits me to 15 minutes. And what better way to like really challenge myself than to have like a full-on conversation within 15 minutes. Like how I'm gonna dig deep and fast.
It's gonna be a challenge.
It is gonna be a challenge because I love to talk.
You like to talk, and
I love to talk.
Sometimes you can go 15 minutes just like with
Just
the
me,
intro.
me chitty. Like I was gonna say something of like I can chat. I can chat.
Yeah.
Like I can, but I like to talk.
Yeah.
But it's a challenge for me, and I'm accepting this challenge, and who knows, like I might break up the conversation on IGTV themselves and like talking to so and so part 1, part 2.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Part 3.
There's no there are no rules, like you said.
There are no rules, but
make it what you want to
but I do want to put that spectrum on myself, so like that I can be like, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, cool. So look
Cool.
for it on Crafty Thrifter, and with that, let's talk a little bit about the topic that I wanted to talk about today, which was friendships. I know friendships.
What about friendships?
Like, I think, it's like, I think in general, but I think like the gist of it is like how friendships or making friendships kind of changes over time.
What do you mean?
Like how, like I know you've talked about it before, like how you said, I think once you told me that you think it's harder to make friends as an adult as opposed to making friends as a kid, like when you were kids, that it was easier to make friends. Like you can hear you chewing.
Can you hear me chewing? I'm sorry. I'm trying to get a little bit of energy, so I'm eating some
Reese's,
some candy to give me that little like sugar.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'll stop. I'll leave it alone. But yeah, friendships. Is it easier to make friendships when you're younger?
Because I know
I don't know.
We've had the conversation, but I think so. I put together some questions, and
Okay.
it was like how difficult or easy it has been for us. I think maybe it's a good place to start. Like
to make friends.
Would you say that, like, I guess in the course of your life until now, would you consider that making friends for you has been difficult or easy?
You know what I've noticed is that I make friends whatever it is that I'm doing at the moment. There's no real friendships or there has been, and there are friendships that had held duration of a long time. But I feel like when I used to work, for example, when I used to work at a community college, I used to, like, as a part-time secretary, some of my friends were at the work, not the work, but at the place of work. And us in certain industries, you make friends in that industry, but I never really, I don't know. I wouldn't say that I've made friends that,
like lifelong friends or what?
Well, people that I can come to when there's an issue or a problem, and I've tried that. That was part of my therapy. Is finding close people, finding like people that I can trust and talk to, and I've tried to open up. And the problem with me is that when they're not receptive immediately, I am like, okay, that's perfect. Like I don't want to bother you.
You take it personal when they don't.
Not well, I guess personal, but I don't like to bother people. And and it's okay. Like, I'm never going to press people to be like I try to open up to you and you didn't like receive it well. Like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? But I do have friends that I very much trust right now. Very much trust right now. And when talking about it, I was like, do I have friends that I go to when like things are rough and things are rocky? Well, I'm trying to be like, I do want them to be my lifelong friends, and with that comes the struggles of like a relationship, where sometimes you're on the same page and then sometimes you're not. Sometimes y'all are going to be, but I want that. So
crave that, yeah. So like for me, like I feel like like I'm not a person that has ever been like that. I've had that I felt like I've had a ton of friends, because I feel like I haven't really put Honestly, I don't think I've ever really put the importance on friendships that much. Like,
No, you haven't.
I kind of felt like, yeah, like I have people that I know, I have people that I like to hang out with, like people that I can go out with and this and that, but I never really kind of like, I guess my goal was never to make lifelong friends. I never really thought of it that way. But
I don't think that's my goal either. I'm never like you, friend forever.
No, but I mean,
that's not what I'm trying to do.
No, and I don't mean that that's your goal, but I'm saying like I think like for some people they do want to make like lifelong goals or like, goals like friends, like that are gonna like be with them in different seasons of their life. And for me, like I can like I think it's now as that I'm older, like I can think about friendships in a different way. Like I can think about friendships more. As more that they possibly could be longer term, that they possibly could be more lifelong friendships, as opposed to before. I didn't really like if I had people that I talked to at work, or I had people that I talked to at school, like they were friends for the moment, when we were around each other. Like we could laugh, we could joke, we could do, we could have fun, we could go to lunch together. Yeah. But it didn't go beyond that, and I was just thinking about that the other day, like because I was thinking about it because I was like all the jobs that I've had, like I was really close with at least one or two people there, and
you still working there, and you stopped.
As soon as I left there, I was like, I just didn't talk to them anymore.
You didn't because you don't make the effort,
and I think that's it. Like I didn't make the effort to like stay in communication, and when they made the effort to me, like I wasn't really like. It wasn't that I didn't want to receive it. It's just that I was like, well, I'm busy. I have other stuff going on. Like I'm doing this other stuff. I'm focused on this new thing now, like my new job or making new connections here. And I guess that's the like so structured in me. Yeah. That I'm like, I never focused on it. So that just
sometimes you have to be careful with some people that you hold on to, because they keep you in that train of thought that was once before, and you always have to revisit is that you? Like, are you still the same person? Your friendships, lifelong friendships, need to be able to transition through life. So if you're going through like a life change, like whether that's like living somewhere else or getting a new job, and with that comes an association with other friends, they need to be able to transition to. Why are you laughing?
Because I'm laughing because it made me think. I was like, do I even know how to make friends?
Do you?
I don't know. I don't know that I do. Like, I feel like...
Really?
Like, maybe I don't know how to make friends. Because I feel like even with the people that I consider my friends now, like, I'm not the type of person that... Like, that is constantly... That will remember to be like, hey, how's it going? How you doing? Like, I'm not the person that, like, texts all the time or like makes that effort all the time. Like, I do every once in a while, but, like... And then sometimes, if I'm in a bad mood, like, and somebody asks me something, like, I won't even answer.
You're like, I'm not in the mood.
Or I'll like disappear for like days and stuff on my friends, and I'm like, maybe I'm like the one that doesn't know how to be a good friend.
No, it's all up to you. In reality, the friendship is up to you.
But I feel like I'm a loyal I'm a loyal friend. Like I think that's one thing about me is that I am a loyal friend. Like
but if you don't have any friends, how do you know you're loyal to them?
Because of my small circle of people that I consider friends. Like I look out for them, and I feel like I do think about them when when something comes up, or like if I'm like, oh, you know what, like this, it's the occasion to think about specific people. Like it was like, oh, okay, like holidays or stuff like that, then I do remember them, and I'm like, oh, okay, like there's things that you remember, but it's not always top of mind for me.
Yeah, I think of my friends often, and sometimes I have to make the effort. Like I was just telling you earlier that I was going through it. I don't know. I feel like I'm always in transition. Like I'm always something's always happening, like on the back end of things for me. And so I have to, I don't want to bother them, and I don't want to inundate them with like my thoughts and the way I feel and blah, blah, blah. And so when I was telling you that, I was like, I think I just need a therapist so like that I can just be a friend You know what I mean? And they can like, I can listen, and I don't, because I do see myself doing that now, where not that I want to ignore them, but I'm like, oh, I'll answer later. And then later is like 3 days later, and they're like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, that's right, I never answered.
Yeah. But see, my thing is like, I normally will answer pretty quickly because I always have my phone with me. So if I don't answer, you know that like I'm probably not like in the mood to answer, or like. And I think what I think sometimes is like, do people think that they take that as me being ugly, like as me like just being like being having an ugly like.
I've always said that
attitude?
people really don't know you. Because you tend to be very reserved.
Very reserved, yeah.
And you only lead on what you want to lead on. Well, and it's not bad. Yeah. But they only get to know who you get to share. You don't. And that's fine. Yeah. And that's fine. But at the end of the day, when you really necesitas respaldo, those who know you genuinely can be there because they know that you have the good and you have the bad.
Well, I guess, you know, like like you were saying that I guess part of lifelong friends is that you being able to count on people like when you need them, and
I wouldn't think of it like that. Like they're gonna be there when I need them. No, it's the fact that you can that you
can reach out to them, right?
If you have to,
if
you can reach out to them,
right? Like I mean,
within
like that you can kind of like talk about what you're feeling or whatever.
Yeah, within like maybe there's a crisis for you. It's always good to have like a just in case contact, just in case emergency contact. You know what I mean? Somebody who can give your address and tell the person where something's wrong, and they can be like, your friend passed out, come pick him up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I guess that's for me. That's like the thing is like I don't really like. I feel like maybe I don't have like a lot of people that would be on that list of people that I would be like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna desahogarme contigo. Like I'm not gonna like, you know.
You don't have to.
Like there's not a lot of people that I would do that with. Like that, I don't know, and I don't know if that's a good thing or that's a bad thing. That you know.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to.
Not that you want to like go and spill the beans on it about everything that you're going through, but like if in the moment where you feel like, hey, you know what, I might want to talk to somebody right now, or like just tell them like tell somebody what I'm thinking so they can just hear me out, or so they can tell me what they think.
You know, with me, sometimes when I just hearing my friends, like today, I had a phone call. And she just, she called to ask, how things were. And I wanted to talk about like what was happening, but I'm very confused right now. So I just wanted to hear her and hear what she had to say. And that for me, it was comfort. Yeah. That for me was like, it's a whole, like, it's not my reality. It's real. It's life, but it's somebody else's life, and I can live. I can feel. I can have a nuance. I can have. I don't know how to explain this.
Get out of
my norm.
The moment.
Yeah.
You can get out of your reality for momentarily by like thinking about the things that they're telling you.
Yeah, by living, I guess, her moment. Like she's telling me, and I'm focusing on that, and I can take myself there mentally, and I don't have to think about what's going on with me right now. And so that, like, it comforts me. There's something soothing about that. The familiar voice, the what she might be thinking and how she's thinking it. And so just telling her and talking to her and having her tell me about even just the smallest of issues and problems that maybe are big for her. Maybe they're different for me, but just listening to that gives me perspective.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing that makes me think about is like when you think about friendships, like what do you consider or what do you look for in a friendship? Because when you look for a relationship, like you kind of have things that you know that you like, that you don't like. Like after you've been,
there's more expectations on a romantic relationship.
Like you kind of know, like if you like, depending on how old you are, if you've dated a while, you kind of are, by the time you like you kind of know like what you like, what you don't like, what things that you're okay with, what you're not okay with. But I think with a friendship, like I don't know that we have those like same expectations or.
I do.
Like I don't know, like for me, I'm like I was thinking about like what for me, I guess the one thing that comes to mind for a good friend is like loyalty, and I think that like is just like part of my upbringing, that for whatever reason like loyalty like was such a big thing, and like think in a way like when you come from a big family, sometimes you think that loyalty is within the family, and you don't think that loyalty that cannot exist outside of the family, or it's harder to achieve outside of the family with a friendship, because you feel like that friendship may not, maybe they don't, maybe they're not gonna
I
have
can
your
see
best
why
interest.
you think that.
Yeah.
I can see how you feel like that, because the way it was for you guys, it was just y'all.
Yeah, we were like really close knit, and we grew up like you saw where we grew up. We grew up in the middle of nowhere, where we were like it was just really like just us, and that was it. And so I think that kind of had an effect on me later on. That I was like, you know what, like a friendship, like whether I have friends or not is like it doesn't matter, like because I still
Yeah, but
have
you
a big
strain
network.
you put a lot of strain on the other relationships when you don't have, when your circle becomes very small and tight.
Yeah,
you put a lot of strain on those individuals.
Yeah, and then you like, and so now like that's what I'm saying. Like then when you think about it in there, and I'm like, well, what do I expect out of a friendship? And I'm like, well, like the thing that comes to mind immediately for me is like loyalty. Like like you want a friend. I want a friend that's gonna be loyal to me. That's gonna be like.
When you say loyal, what do you mean loyal?
That if I tell you shit, like if I tell you like stuff about me, that you're gonna like hold it. You're not gonna like go out and like tell other people what I said. Or if I have a weak moment in front of you, that you're not just gonna go blab about it. Or that you're like, that you're gonna, I guess be kind of protective about the relationship. Not about me. Like I don't need you to be protective of me, but I need you to like, if I'm trusting you with something, I need you to protect it. Like I don't want it like I don't want it to be put on blast, and like you don't want it to be used against you later.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But I think there's more to friendships and loyalty. So
that sounds like a lot. That sounds like a full on like romantic relationship. I expect some of that. I expect some loyalty, but then I do if I come to my friend with like an issue and it's like hard heavy, like it's heavy. Like if they confide in another friend and they're like, hey, so and so told me this, like I'm not sure like how to take it, and then I can understand why they would go and I guess blab, go tell somebody else and with a concern.
To a certain extent, it's kind of like human nature, right? That you would like kind of like
not really
release, like not say everything, but like
well, say for example,
you have the like urge to tell somebody else, like especially with something like
that's not true. Don't say that. You probably have people out there thinking that people are like no, but there's sometimes I've told secrets to some people, and I expect the loyalty. Then I expect you to be like I expect you to hold that.
But if you're like, oh, Angelica, man, Angelica got so plastered at my house the other day and she was acting a fool. Like, you kind of want to tell somebody. Like,
it is cheese, man.
You want to go and be
You're
like, so guess what? Like,
this girl acted a goddamn fool in my house. You should have heard her. You should have seen this.
Have you ever seen Angelica drunk? Well, let me tell you.
Let me tell you what happened. So and so, and then all of a sudden, we've had those conversations where we're like, oh my God.
There's still like evenings that some of our friends can't live down. Every time we think about them or we see them or they're not there and we're like in the same environment where we're like, you remember when so and so did this?
And then we'll recap, and I'm like, no, I don't remember like that. I remember so and so doing this, and we were like, yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
It seems to progressively get worse as time goes on.
But that's within the inner circle. Yeah. Like that's always talked about within ourselves. It's never like I've never told anybody else who like might know them. Well, that's what I mean.
But that's what I was asking. Like for you, like besides loyalty, like what else would you say?
I think
that you would look for in like in a friendship.
For me, and this is special to me. When somebody's sincere with me, I like sincereness to the T. Like I don't know, like I'll. That's a good one. Sincereness, yeah, and then some honesty. Not honesty. Like I don't need my friend to be like, "Hey, you look like shit in those jeans. Go take them off." Girl. Like, yeah. Like I need honesty, as in the form of like, like who can give it to me straight, who makes me think about what I did, who makes me think about like, and I have one friend who's like, I tell her and she like gives it to me and I'm like, why are you so honest like that? Why are you got me for what? For what? Like, why? You're just trying to make me cry. No, but she's honest, and I talk to her for certain reasons because of that. And she's very sincere. She's very honest and very sincere. But I very much, I put people in a very special place when they're sincere. I hold on to them like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about I hadn't really thought about that, but that's true. Like sincerity and that, yeah, like definitely. Because I think, would you say sincerity like includes like when people like show you that they're thinking about you? Is that part of sincerity, or what is sincerity like?
Sincerity to me is like when we, I guess when we're in each other's presence, we can talk from a place of I love you because. I think of you because, and this is why I say what I say, and this is why I understand what you're saying, and maybe I don't understand what you're saying because
like
of this.
Literally saying the words "I love you," or
it doesn't have to say. They don't have to say "I love you." It's just the way they show me that they can be sincere about it.
The robot from Alice in Wonderland. I'm like, wait, how does it?
Which one?
No, I said like I feel like I'm the robot from Alice in Wonderland. Is it the robot or the one that doesn't?
Alice in Wonderland.
Or no, what is it called? Wizard of Oz.
Oh my God. I was like, what in the world are you talking about?
The one that doesn't have a hand. The Tin Man.
The Tin Man. The robot.
I'm the Tin Man.
You're all over the place with this story.
It's like I'm the Tin Man. I'm like, wait, how does that work?
How does it work? Wait, a heart?
What does that feel like?
Beat?
What is that emotion?
No, I think sincerity is just a form of, for me, it's felt. It's felt when you're around them. It's felt when they come in for an embrace. It's felt when they see you and they see you and they say hi and you're like, oh, like you melt away and you're like, there's my friend.
Oh, okay. Like Chris is a good example of that, right?
Who?
Chris
Cave? Mm-hmm. We're out here putting on blast Chris Cave.
Yeah, like she's a good example because you always say that like when you see her, like,
we don't talk often.
Like there's a genuine like
embrace,
positive sentiment. Like you can feel that she's genuinely happy to see you. Yeah. She's genuinely like if you tell her something that you like, good or bad. If it's bad, she's genuinely feels bad. If it's good, she genuinely is like happy for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like...
And it's weird that you use that example because we don't talk often. Like, hardly. We can talk, we can go months without saying hi to each other. And then all of a sudden I'll get a text and I'll be like... And there's been times where she's just makes me cry. She'll just send me a text and I'm like, I'm bawling. I don't know why. It's that genuineness of it. You know what I mean?
Well, now I'm understanding that a little bit better.
Is your heart growing? Is that what? Hey, this is Angelica Casares.
And this is Juan Alanis.
Thank you so much for joining us on season 2 of Juana Words Podcast. You can find us on
Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Stitcher, Spotify, and other platforms. Also on our website at juanawords.com. And we hope you enjoyed the episode that you're listening to right now.
And if you enjoyed it, you can leave us a review and a thumbs up. Especially on the Apple platform, the higher ratings and the reviews we get, the more listeners we actually can be found by.
Yeah.
So
it really does help us. So we really would appreciate it, a rating or a review on Apple Podcast. And until next time, thank you.
See you then. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, so when you were saying sincerity, I wasn't really clear on what exactly you were talking about, but now it makes sense. I'm like, okay, like now, like it's not just the signature at the end of my emails. Yeah. I'm like, I get it. All right, so we talked about like the expectations, but what is that the same as what makes a good friend?
What is?
Like the expectations of what you have in a friend. Is that kind of the same thing? Is that kind of the same question? Like, what is a good friend?
I don't think I understand your question.
Yeah, like when we talked about sincerity, honesty, loyalty, is that what makes a good friend, or are there other things that make a good friend? Like make somebody a good friend?
I guess they kind of have to be, first of all, a willing participant to begin with, because that's happened to me.
That helps.
That helps. Yeah, that helps. With the unwilling participants of a friendship, and I'm like, wait, I thought we were friends.
Oh.
That's horrible, isn't it? I'm like, no, but I thought we were friends. We're not friends. Oh, this is not a friendship. Oh, I understand. Okay, now I see. But no, so yeah, so I guess sometimes it probably helps if you guys are maybe there's commonalities, right? Whether y'all are both maybe in the same industry, or maybe y'all can find a level of commonness between y'all. That usually helps. Some friendships you're gonna have to look deep to find a commonness.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's really easy for us. It's easy, and you're like cultural, or it's easy. You're like female, same age, kids. Yeah, got it. All right, there it is. You know what I mean? But
that makes it sound really simple, and it's not always that simple.
No, it's not.
It's not always that simple, because I think sometimes you can be like friend, like whatever what you just said, like mom, like the same background. But then when you start talking, or when you start having a conversation, or you hang out with a group of people, and you guys get some time alone, and then you're like, oh, it's not a match, it's not a fit.
Yeah. No, I've had friends, for example, I had a friend who was male, who was older than me, completely older than me. I think by Jesus. 20 years. And we were friends. I ended up working for him. We had met when I was a student. And they were working at the high school, and we had become friends. But then when I was looking for a job, I went to my friend and I said, hey, I need to work. Apparently I got to take care of a kid. I need a job. And he was like, yeah, no, come on. And then when I went to work there, we became friends. We invited each other to each other's parties, and to the get out, the get outs, to the barbecues, to the outgoings, and hey, all my friends are coming over. They're going to watch a game. You want to come over? And it was and because he befriended a lot of people, he had people in age ranges from all over the place. And
we even ended up going to his wedding.
We did.
Yeah,
we did.
I remember that.
Yeah. It was like a beach wedding that we ended up going to. But we did. And so I guess his transition was, after he got married, his priorities changed. And so we're still friends. We don't talk.
Yeah.
But we're still friends. He's still my friend. Can I just call him up and chit chat the way I used to? It's not like that. And I respect it completely, and I understand that his transition is different, and maybe whatever that is, you know what I mean? But yeah, you can have a friendship with somebody but we obviously had a commonality.
Well, that makes me think of there are a few people that I've been good friends with in my life, that I would say that they were probably the exception, and that I think about them often. I remember them, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're up to. I wonder how they're doing. And I lost communication to the point where I don't know how to get a hold of them anymore. We're not on. We're not on Facebook. They're not on social media. I don't have a phone number. I don't have an email. This was before email and before phone numbers. Not before phone numbers, but before emails.
I was like, what time? 1940, 30? What are you talking about?
Well, one of my friends, she was older than me, and she was we worked together, and we took a at that point I was working at the phone company, and we took I forgot what they called it, but it was in order for, when you worked at a call center. If you wanted to get out of the call center, you could take a job to be a technician. You could take a class to be a technician. So it was kind of an electrical class. So we took this. I think it was maybe
together.
Yeah, it was a weekend. It was a class that the company paid for, and the employees would go to this campus. It was a community college here in Houston. They would pay for you to go to that class, so that you could.
And that's where y'all met.
No, we knew each other from
before that.
We knew each other we worked together in the same office.
Okay, I see.
But then, I signed up for the class, and then she wanted to do it, and I encouraged her. I was like, "You should do it," and she was like, "No, I'm too old. I'm not going to be able to learn this and that." And I was like, "No, you can do it. You can do it. I'll help you with and this and that." And we went and we would go every Saturday morning. We would be there for half a day at this class, with a bunch of other people.
Yeah, I would make friends too with everybody there. If I had to go on a Saturday.
And we became I think that is when like we started having more of a friendship,
A rapport. You start building more.
Yeah, like where she like I knew about like her life and her family and her like what some of the things. Not I don't think I knew everything, or like I think maybe I just knew the tip of the iceberg. But she like felt like we shared. But I think it was more the experience of like
she felt comfortable
going through it together.
Yeah,
like that. It was like that we built.
Oh,
a
I
friendship
see what you're
out
saying.
of that.
Yeah.
And but I do wonder, like I wonder what happened to her, because she was like a little bit more like heavy set, and so she did have like certain challenges, and so you think about like, I wonder how she's doing, I wonder if she's doing okay, and this and that, and like it's just people like that. And then like there have been a few other people like that that I'm like, yeah, like they had some of those qualities that you're talking about, like where they were sincere, where they did like genuinely show you that they cared, and they did like they were a good friend, like to the point where you remember them like 20 years later. You're like, I wonder what they're doing.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, but you experience that, and I'm always receptive to new experiences, because I like to hear where other people come from and what they've been through life, and sometimes it takes them longer to tell you. They like don't meet you and tell you their full story, or they meet you and tell part of their story, and then after years of friendship, they start telling you.
Don't you think it's hard to open up like that?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's hard to like you were saying earlier, like because if you feel like somebody's not receptive, that you feel like, oh, like they don't want to hear it. I'm bothering them. Oh, so have you ever had to end a friendship? Have you ever like come to a point where you were like, oh, this friendship is no longer serving its purpose, or
no,
this relationship or this friendship is no longer like, like maybe it's not like that terminal.
I'm always
where you just drift apart from somebody.
No, I'm always dragging remnants of things. I don't know why I can't cut the cord. And that's my fault. It's because I grow attachments to people fast. Not fast. No, correction. Not fast. I grow attachments to people that matter to me. And so I don't know. Like I always feel like I never want them to think that I'm not a lifeline for them. And so I always want them to know that I'm there. Even though like talking to them every now and then like resurfaces feelings. I'm like, why do I do this?
But being there for them, it's a lot of work, no?
Well, you don't have like not like that.
Well, just and I don't mean to make it sound like, but I'm just saying like it is like a lot of, when you think about like being there for somebody else, like it is a commitment, right? I mean, it's a lot.
When you don't want to be there.
Not that you don't want to, but I think even if you want to,
in general, or when the friendship has it's past its expiration date.
No, I think in general, like I think when you say like you just said right now, like I want them to know that I'm there for them. Like I feel like being there for people is work. Like it's like when the people say marriage is work. I feel like being there for people is work, because you have to like you have to be open to.
It's up to you how much you water it. It's up to you how much you give its attention. Like, some of them can sit out there. There's plants like cacti that like don't need watering but still exist. And then
that must be all my friendships.
It must be all your friendships. No, but then there's like other things like, you want
succulents.
Your friends are succulents. Is that what's going on? But some friendships, if you want them to grow, you do nurture them. It's just like a plant. Here's my narration of my analogy, like a plant. Some plants, they stay small based on the pot that they're in. Some of them can grow bigger than what they actually are. But if you want to keep a plant small, you keep it in a small pot. And if you want it to grow, and if it has the potential to grow, you actually have to move it to a bigger pot and it'll grow. And if you wanted to like get its complete life form, you actually have to plant it in the ground. And so that's the progression of some friendships. Like it's up to you how much time you give it. Oh, was it? Oh, what? Snap, Angelica. Ooh, she finally got one. She got one Angelica, life, 100. But
that was a good analogy. I like that one.
yeah, but I think that's basically like a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships. But specifically talking about friendships, I think we all have a friend somewhere somehow.
Yeah.
Because we're human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if you think like your teacher is your friend. Like, if you have no friends in school and you're a student, your teacher is your friend. You know what I mean? So we all have friends somehow. It's just, I guess, we get to delegate what we do with them.
Yeah.
And some of them matter to you, and then some of them might not. And it's just up to you. You pick and choose.
Yeah, and to be honest, like I think like I am interested in having more friendships. Like I think I'm interested in like in having a little bit like think maybe taking the succulents out of that little plant and look.
No, succulents are gonna stay succulents, and they're probably gonna stay the same size.
Putting the plant in like a bigger pot, and then maybe see where it goes from there. You know, that's where I'm at. Like,
well, you can rekindle some friendships.
Yeah.
There's some that have history.
I don't know. Like I'm a little bit like. Cautious about rekindling stuff because I'm like, I don't know, like if I knew you 20 years ago and we could reconnect now, like I don't know if we're gonna be the same people anymore.
You never know.
Like I don't know, like to me,
you never know.
Like, I guess that like, but no, like I guess I'm kind of joking around about the topic of friendship and this and that, and like, but I do like I think I'm at the point like in my life where I am open to having more friendships. I'm open to like being a little bit of a better friend. Or making an effort to be a better friend, and because I think I do like have some of those qualities that of a good friend. I just like you said, like I'm guarded and I don't allow myself to really.
You know what I'm thinking right now that you're saying this. I'm like thinking to myself, I think I'm gonna go and write a list of my friends, and then see what I want to like see. Because I want a stronger connection to people. I think this is what this whole COVID and pandemic has done for me, is that I stopped talking to everybody, and even my family. Like I'm not talking to a lot of them right now. I'm like few and far between speaking to anybody. Yeah. And so I've noticed something. You know, I'm like, some people I miss and some people I don't. Oh. And you know, and it's not a bad thing. I'm more accepting now of cutting people off. And my family is not one of them. That's not what I'm saying. Not my family.
You're gonna start getting some texts and calls. Like,
no, not my family. Not my family. I had to separate myself for a second, and the pandemic allowed me to do it, and that has allowed me to really gauge myself and take interest in myself. And so because of that, I've noticed that I disengage with everybody.
Well, I think that's what I was trying to ask earlier, like about outgrowing some relationships. Not that those were bad friendships, but maybe it was just that you were at a point in your life, like where you realized, like, you know what, like we haven't talked in like 3 months, and like I don't really feel like, you know, we need to talk right now. Like I don't really feel like, you know, we're missing each other. Like, you know, I think we're okay. Like not talking. Like we're okay from a distance.
We're okay from a distance.
I think we're okay.
What does that sound?
We could be like,
I love you from a distance.
we could be like a pen pal.
Hey, this is Angelica. Welcome to the Juan of Words podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, YouTube, juanofwords.com. If you listen to an episode and you like what you hear, leave us a review or maybe a comment or two. We hope you enjoy this episode. So yeah, I think we were talking about like how it was easy to let go of people right now.
Oh yeah.
And how the whole pandemic has allowed us to like just, I guess it kind of like a PlayStation. It kind of reset a lot of things.
Yeah, that's a good way like to think about it, because I did.
You okay? Jesus, what did you do? Take too much of a breath?
Choking on my own words now. Like that's what like that's what happens. They're like bad omens, not the evil.
Bad omens.
The evil eye coming to get me. No, but I think that's what I was saying. Like I think like it was a good moment to take a pause for a lot of different reasons, and I think like relationships too.
To think we were all fighting it.
Yeah.
We're all fighting this. Like they're like, no.
Like I was talking to somebody earlier today. We were like messaging back and forth, and she was telling me like, like I'm finally taking time for myself. And she was kind of apologizing to me about it, and I was like, no, don't apologize. Like I completely get it. Like
we get it. Yeah.
Like I completely understand like that. Like there's no need to like to apologize about that. Like if you're able to do that, like, do it, like, because like, so many of us like don't do it. Like we don't take the time to do it. Like sometimes you just go through life like
the motions.
Like you just like go, and like I think like we're so accustomed.
We are.
To being like, just go for it, like achieve.
We're a species who's obsessed with time.
Yeah.
We have a day, we have a year, first of all, we have days, years, months, minutes, hours, seconds, nanoseconds. Like we're obsessed with time, and we're always trying to fill that time.
Yeah. And it's also about like how fast can you go like from one thing to the next? How fast can you like move? And like I stopped wearing a watch like when I was in my 20s because I didn't want to be be constrained by time. Because for a long
it's difficult to look at time, isn't it?
Yeah, like because
it's really hard to not know the day and time because we always want to know.
Well, I just look at like when I want to know, I'll just look at my phone.
No, but there's times where I'll concede to like my thoughts of like today. There was a time like during the pandemic, it was like a Thursday, and I was like, yeah, today we're gonna whatever, and you're like, it's not Saturday, and I was like, yes, it is. Like, no, it's not. And I was like,
oh yeah, I think
yes, it is.
You're like gonna get barbacoa and I don't know what.
Yeah,
it's not the weekend. Like,
yeah,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, you're like, Angelica, it's not the weekend, and I'm like,
all place is closed.
Yeah, I was like, yes, it is, and you're like, no, it's not, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Did I lose? Like, I lost time.
Yeah.
But
I can see that, but like, no, to me, like, I don't like. I guess because when I worked around that age, I worked at a phone company, and I worked like in a call center, and we were like, time was like such a big thing, like to the second, to the millisecond, like we like it was so like strict on time. Like that, like after that experience, I was like, you know what? I'm never gonna wear a watch again. So like, I had a.
What do you mean y'all were obsessed? Like how long y'all had to be on the phone, or how like when you clocked in and out?
Because like the call centers, like they had like a quota that you were supposed to meet of calls per hour. So like if you were on a call for longer than like I don't know what it was, like 45 seconds or something, or a minute or something like that, or maybe 90 seconds. They would call you, like you would get a ding on your second line, and you'd pick it up, and it'd be like a supervisor, and they'd be like, "Hey, you've been on the phone for like 3 minutes. What's going on?"
Oh, really?
or they would like you only had like 30 minutes for lunch, so you had to go and like
you were walking all the way.
Like you had to go and like you had to bring your lunch. If you didn't bring your lunch, like the rebels of us, like we would try to make the dash to like run and go get something. Run to Whataburger and like try to make it back in 30 minutes, and then like
eat on the way there.
Like eat at your desk when you get back, and it was like crazy like that. Or like where like there was forced overtime. Like if you like we worked split shifts, so I would work like 8 to 12 and then come back at 4 and work 4 to 8. But a lot of times, especially when there was bad weather, and like, in Houston now it's raining and hurricanes and stuff like that, they would force you to work like 12 to 2, so you couldn't go home. So then you were stuck there from 8 to 8.
Oh, dang.
And it was like, it sucked, and
but for those 2 hours, it was not worth your time to go drive home and drive back. So you just sat there,
like
hung out.
Let me go to like Walmart and hang out there for an hour, and you couldn't even go watch a movie, like, because it was not long enough. So it was like you couldn't really do much.
You couldn't even watch a movie.
So you're just like, you just kind of hang out there until it's time for you to go back in. And some people would just work through. But I mean, I think because of that experience, and that was around the time that I was going to college. And I was working full time, so like literally, like I had all my days were planned out. Like I would get up and exercise, and then I would go to work, and then I would do this, and then I would do that, and I had my internships and everything. So I was so like focused on time. Then when I was finally done with all of that, I was like, you know what? I don't want to hear about time. I don't want to have a watch. I don't want to have like a constant reminder what time it is and how long I have before I have to do something else.
Wait, it sounds to me like you're constantly like obsessed with time, even now.
And I still am, even though I don't.
Even now, like I hear you talk, and I'm like, "That's you now."
I know, like even now, like
that's
I don't have
you
a watch,
now, Juan.
That's what I'm like. Imagine if I had a watch. Imagine how much worse I would be if I had a watch.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, like I like. But that's why.
But you even say things like that. You'll say things. You'll express yourself in that way too. You'll be like, "That's such a waste of time. That's such a waste of time. Why are we spending so much time on this?"
But you know what it is that like sometimes like I think it's been a process for me. Is that like one of the things that we do now is like we'll take breaks in between the day.
Yeah.
And like, you'll be like, oh, I want to go to the party supply store to pick something up.
Mm-hmm. Like we did today.
We need to go get this, or like I need to go get some shampoo. And like before I would, that would like, it was throwing off my day, so that would upset me, and I'd be like, no, I can't do it. No.
Yeah, literally. You're
no,
like,
I can't do that. You're throwing off my day. I don't have time for that.
You're like, I got things to do, and I'm like, you got hours.
It would frustrate me. Like it would fluster me because I was like, no, it's just like throwing off my plan. But what I found over time is that those little breaks are actually really good for you. Like for me, at least, because
they're midday breaks. Yeah.
Yeah, because they give you like a sense of like, okay, like you're taking a step away, like you're just like you're clearing your mind for a moment.
For me, it feels productive.
Yeah, like like it's productive because you're clearing your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you like can have a little conversation, and then like, or you get inspired by something that you don't expect to get inspired by, and then you come back and you're like, oh, you know what, like, or like it can be just like it's just like a boost of energy in the middle of the day for no reason.
You'll be surprised what happens when you like go and walk out in the middle of the sun in the middle of the day and go about your business like it's like a regular, like it's not the weekend. We're always rushing to the weekend, and when you take those small breaks within those weekdays and like you're dilly-dallying, or you go to a store and not a lot of people are there, and you're like, this feels nice, this feels like this, if I like.
And I think now I've gotten pretty good at like being able to work remotely, and like being able to like work from wherever I'm at.
Take the laptop with you and actually work.
So people always tell me like, how do you do that? Like, how do you
doing things?
Do things like that where you're like traveling and you're like doing this and you're doing that. Like when we were traveling before, like we would go cross country, and I'd be like, oh, I'm still working, I'm still on the calls, and I'm still doing this, and I'm still doing that. And I'm like, I don't know. I felt like it gave me energy to do it because I was like, I was seeing different things, I was doing different things, I was in like my environment was changing, and then I'm like, maybe that's just my screwed up mind that's like that wants to like.
We're so obsessed with we're so obsessed with the restrictions. We think we're being productive when we restrict ourselves to certain things. When we say this and this, this and this, and I still hear that advice a lot. That people give other people. They're like, well, you got to do this, and you got to do this from this, and you got to make sure this within this time period and that time period. And I'm like, the only reason there's time constrictions to things is because we put the time as human beings. Like the universe didn't come and place a clock in the middle of the world and was like, this is what you have to do. Like we do that, and we do that just so we can know when to meet. That's the only reason that like I believe time was invented. And I think the whole like Aztecs invented time because there was a certain time of the day that they met at certain places. That's the only reason. Otherwise, without like knowing when to meet each other, because then you're past each other, and the information is going to be not given, right? Like if there is an enemy, it was more for survival. I guess. Like if there's an enemy and you I can't tell you that, you know what I'm saying? And so I think we become obsessed with time, and that like it's a form of survival.
Although I did see a meme that was kind of funny. Like it was talking about this. I think it was somebody said, "I'm not going to. And come November, I'm not gonna turn the hour back because who the hell needs another hour of 2020?"
They can have it.
I don't need an extra hour of 2020. They can keep it.
They can keep it. Yeah, I read that too.
But no, I thought that was funny. But no, you reminded me of something earlier that you were saying. Like the constraints that we have for ourselves, like I think they, like you're saying, like a lot of times there are constraints that we have just like accepted, like that that's part of life. We don't question, we just accept them. And like, so one of the things like this morning I had a presentation that I was doing for like a group of small business owners, and I was talking about like PR and like what they needed, like PR for small business, and they had kind of given me like a preface of who the people in the room were and what they like, kind of what the tips were that would help them. And one of the things that I've we've kind of talked about over and over throughout the years, and then I've like finally like accepted, and that I was finally like even this book that I'm reading like was talking about it too, is like, like where you like not holding on, like not guarding the things that you know so much, or not guarding the things that like are like information, or like contacts or things like that, like knowledge, not guarding knowledge so much, like being more free with the knowledge that you have, being willing
open
to
with
share it, being willing to being more open. Like, and it was different because this like this morning when I did the presentation, like I've done presentations like that before, but this morning when I did it, like it was like I kind of went in with that like mindset of like, you know, I'm just gonna be open, I'm just gonna really try to help, I'm gonna really try to give the information that I can, like share as much as I can, like be open as much as I can. And like I literally just put the presentation together last night for this morning, but I already knew what I was gonna say, like in my mind. Like I already knew like what, like based on what they had told me, I was like, oh, these are the things that are gonna be the most helpful for these people. Okay. For this group of businesses. So that's what like I focused on, and that's what I like, and I feel like I really like, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like it was a really good presentation.
Yeah, because of it. Because
of that, and I feel like at the end, like there were a bunch of questions. People were like, "Oh, well, can you tell me about this? Can you tell me about that?" Da, da, da. And I was like,
"You got a positive reaction?"
Yeah, and I was like being very like, I was being as open as I could. So like, to the point where I was like, you know, you can go here to this website. You know, this person you can look for, like, is a good person for you to think about. And da, 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 da. Like I was trying to like give as much as I could, and I was like, that's not always been the case for me. And part of that was because of that concept that I like just accepted. That was like, no, you guard your knowledge, you guard your information, you guard what's yours.
You worked for it.
Yeah, you worked for it. You earned it. Like, other people need to pay their dues. And then, like, it's such a, like, mindset that you
it's so backwards, isn't it?
Yeah. And then when you think about it, like, if you don't do that, it's like, oh, well, people, like, appreciate you being open with them. Like, I appreciate when somebody's open to me, with me, and they're, like, willing to share with me, you know, that I'm like, oh, that person, like, is a genuine person. Or that person is helpful. That person is like willing to be there. And so, like, I don't know, that just made me remember, like, it's kind of off topic of friendship, but
we were talking about friendship, huh? Whoops.
But it just made me like remember, like, when you said that, like, of things that we accept, the things that we just like are like reality just because that's what the way things are, that's the way it's always been done. Yeah. That, like, just to like make that little shift, like, it was such a big difference for me.
It makes you feel different. Yeah. It makes you feel like, literally within you, it makes you feel different when you're open like that, and you're a willing participant of being like, no, that does it, like, this feels right. And you can be like, this is right. And so when you're like that, it comes off like that. And I think you, not only, sometimes it's not done for other people, it's done for you. You want to know that you're like, you know what, I did my best effort and I did what I could, and that for me is enough. That for me I can sustain with.
Because people, like, when you're asked to be a speaker, like, it's like a lot of times it's an honor. Like, you're like, oh wow, like, you thought of me.
It is. There's gratitude to that. Yeah.
So you want to do a good job. You want to, like, be able to, like, deliver the goods. You want to be able to, like, you know, knock it out of the ballpark. And so, like, when you're open like that, like, I walked away feeling like, you know, I did like all I did. I feel good about I feel good about the information I gave. I feel good about the way the conversation went.
You feel good about what you shared.
Like, I didn't even give it a second thought. Like, other times I'm like, maybe that presentation was, maybe I could have done this, maybe I could have done that, maybe And this time I was just like, oh, that was good.
But doesn't it feel good to share?
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Like, okay. So, see, maybe I'm not so bad. Like, I'm working towards my friendship. So my what is it called? I'm soliciting friends.
Don't say that. No. You're soliciting. People are gonna be like, oh, for what?
No, I'm playing.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think that reminded me of something I completely forgot right now. But that's really good. It does feel really good to share. It does really feel good. But yeah.
Anyway, but no, any final thoughts on friendship or anything like that you want to say before we kind of end the conversation?
Any thoughts on friendships? I don't know. Do I have any thoughts?
To be them.
To like them. No. To hold them. To admire them. To love them. No, I'm just kidding. No. I think final thoughts on friendships. I think being active. Being active within the friendship. You know what I learned today, really quick before we do sign off? You know what I learned about myself today? Is that I'm an active listener.
Okay. What does that mean?
That means I respond whenever you talk.
Oh.
That means I'm the kind of person who's like, oh, really? Oh my God. And then, or I do a lot of, I do a lot of that. And I was like, I learned that was active listening. That I want you to know that I'm listening, so I make sure you know I'm listening.
Where did you learn that at?
On YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Another podcast, actually.
Another podcast?
Yeah, another
Active
podcast.
listening?
Yeah, I'm an active listener. That was good. So, but I think in regards to friendships, I think being a willing participant, like you have to be a willing participant to be able to open, like be more willing to be open.
Yeah.
But you know what? You hear that all the time. People think, what does that mean? Well, what does that mean, being more open? I think literally that just means being receptive. Like if when they ask you a question and you're, don't give yes, no answers, but give a little more of like, oh, well, if they ask you, oh, did you like the movie? You can easily answer yes or no, but you can be like, yeah, I did. You know why? This part of that part, like I thought that was awesome. And that gives them an inside look to you. That gives them an inside look to like the kind of person you like, or the kind of person you like, the kind of person you are, your dislikes, your likes. And that's the whole point of life, is to get to know each other.
Yeah.
The same way we've gotten to know our families. It's an amazing world to be able to get to know other personalities.
Well, to me, I guess what it boils down to me is like being human, and I think like letting your guard down is about being human, and like just like accepting that it's like you're feeling like you might be feeling this way, and like by you opening up and actually saying what you're feeling, like somebody else might be comfortable to say, hey, I feel like that too, or like I'm like I've gone through something like that myself, and then I think from that, like you open the window a little bit, and then from there you can like build on that. But I think a lot of times like we're so like, at least me, I don't want to like, you're so protective, or not, and maybe not even protective, but you're so like, that you don't want to like, you don't want to let something out.
Yeah.
And then, or you don't want to share too much because then you'll be vulnerable. Then you'll be like, oh, I don't want to be the odd one out. That's like, hey, I was sad today, and then
it doesn't have to be like that.
You'll be like, okay, let's go.
No, but it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to talk about things like that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm making a point to like make it awkward.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like don't make it awkward. I guess it's like more like just be yourself, like, and be willing to like let your guard down a little bit.
But you see, sometimes people hear like be yourself, and people are like, but I am myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not what they mean.
But like, be yourself, the yourself that you are when you're by yourself at home.
The same way when I think for me,
in your underwear and you're like nobody's around, and you're like, you know what, like you see something funny and you laugh at it, or you do something stupid and you laugh at it, or you talk about it, like, be that person, not the person that's trying to be like proper.
I don't know, Juan. I don't know what the hell you're talking about now. It's something about your underwear and hold on.
All right, I'm gonna let you close up.
I think when people say be yourself, I think they mean be your genuine self.
Yeah.
Be like the way you want people to be around you. It's probably the way people want you to be around them.
And isn't that the craziest thing is that when you're a kid, you have no problem being yourself.
You don't.
And then when you grow up, it's such a struggle to like sometimes
do that,
to be like, well, what
because we got a concept. What
is that? What does that mean to be myself? Like, I am myself. Like,
because we don't like people to break our facade.
Yeah.
We have this thing that we want, and if I give you too much of me, you'll realize that that's not who I am.
Yeah, like I see it in like my nieces and everything. They're like their personality. That's who they are. Like, and then they're like, it's kind of sad that you when you grow up you don't
lose
have
it
that anymore. Like, you're like, oh, like now I'm like, no, now I'm like,
now I'm proper.
Yeah, like now I'm this person and this is what I do.
Yeah.
I don't laugh at those things. I don't do those things. I don't watch those shows. I don't do this. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You try to be so like,
so uptight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So uptight. Remember I told you last time? You gotta let loose. Relax.
I will say something, but I don't know if it'll be a...
No, don't. Because the last time I like I clenched. I was like, oh, what was that? Yeah.
I'll keep it PC or PG.
PC.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
That was an interesting conversation. Thanks for bringing that one up.
yeah.
I was like, I wonder where this was going to lead.
Well, no, I think, we kind of veered off course, but I think that's good.
As we typically do.
That's we usually
Welcome to the Juan Words podcast, where we talk about the things that we don't talk about.
Yeah. Usually we'll have like some kind of outline, but then we like just let the conversation flow, which is part of just making the show like what it is they just...
Well, it was like Jay Sharon said, you gotta go with the river.
Flow with the river.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said.
All right. Well,
No.
Guys, thanks for listening. We appreciate you being here for the podcast. And as always, I will say, if you want to leave us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts, we would greatly appreciate that. And it's a great way to let us know that you're listening, that you're out there, that you are enjoying the show. And
sometimes don't you feel like you're a megaphone? You're like, hello, oh.
Yeah.
And then you're hoping somebody's going to respond back. Yeah, that's, what sometimes just give us like a wave. Just an emoji. That's all we're looking for. Just an emoji so we know the ears are out there, the bodies are out there listening to us.
Yeah. And if you really like the podcast, share it with a friend. Tell them about it. And other than that,
share with your mom.
Share with your mom. Yeah.
Share with your cousin, your sister, your everybody. Not everybody. No, don't do that. Don't bombard everybody. But if you thought we were interesting and you thought maybe somebody else would find it interesting also, definitely share, please. And even to call us out, to be like, these fools here, like they're complete nonsense. Listen to them.
The Tin Man and his wife. I don't know.
Apparently from Alice in Wonderland.
Right.
Don't even know.
But no, and other than that, go to Crafty Thrifter this month and look for the interviews doing. They're gonna
go check it out.
Really
go check it out. I even do reels where I dance like this. I go like this.
Yeah, she does.
I go like this.
Every once in a while, you might catch me in the background doing some bad dancing. But
all right. We gotta sign off. I think we're becoming delusional. All right.
Bye.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that episode, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.